Amanda Nunes is simply the best. The Brazilian fighter is the current UFC female bantamweight and featherweight champion, which has made her the first female to hold 2 belts with the promotion. Her current 11-fight win streak has broken so many records that at this point, she seems unstoppable. But that narrative wasn't the case in her first 7 years as a fighter, as she started off with a 9-4 record. So for her to be where she's at now in her career is quite surprising. So how did Amanda Nunes get so good? Hey guys, it's Kiiyon, and today I'm going to be talking about Amanda the Lioness Nunes. She is without a doubt the greatest of all time when it comes to women's MMA. In fact, I think she's one of the greatest of all time in all of MMA. With the current run that she's on, it seems unbelievable that she ever lost a fight. But she did early on, and if you were to tell an MMA fan back in 2014 that she would become champion, most would probably not believe you. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Amanda's MMA career to really understand how she got so good. But before we get to it, shout out to the Undisputed members of my Patreon. They get the extra perk of a shout out before each video. But even the intro members get early access and video to the Kiiyon Kimura podcast. And as always, the money goes to charity. Now let's get to it. Amanda made her MMA debut on March 8, 2008 at the age of 20. Her first opponent was Anna Maria India, and the fight was at featherweight. Amanda opened up the fight with a barrage of punches that rocked Anna. This forced a desperation takedown, but Amanda ended up on top. Unfortunately, she got caught in an armbar that ended the fight. After this defeat, she fought Patty Barbosa. Amanda rushed in with punches that forced Patty's corner to throw in the towel. The fight lasted 11 seconds. Amanda went on to rematch Anna Maria India, and this time she won by first round TKO. Then she fought Daisy Lee Rocha. Amanda rushed in with punches that dropped Daisy. This led to ground and pound that forced the ref to step in. 3 months later, Amanda fought Vanessa Porto. This performance was more well-rounded, as aside from finding success with her striking, she also connected with shots in the clinch, brought the fight down, and threw ground and pound. After 2 rounds, Amanda finished the fight in the second with punches. Following this win, Amanda fought Ediane Gomez. Ediane's game plan was to bring the fight down and try to secure a submission, but Amanda denied most of her takedowns and escaped her attempts to lock something up. This led to vicious ground and pound. And when the fight got back up, Ediane was getting picked apart on the feet, but the fight eventually ended in the second by Amanda via ground and pound. On January 7th, 2011, she made her Strikeforce debut. Her first opponent with the new promotion was Julia Budd. After a couple of leg kicks, Amanda rushed in with punches. This dropped Julia and she ate hammer fists before the ref stepped in. The fight lasted 14 seconds. 7 months later, Amanda fought Alexis Davis. She was also making her debut at 135, and she looked good early with her striking and takedowns. But in the second, Amanda was beginning to fatigue. This led to Alexis reversing her on the ground, where she threw punches that forced the ref to step in. Following this defeat, Amanda fought Raquel Pa'aluhi. After opening up the fight with leg kicks, Amanda got taken down. Raquel then attempted to lock in a rear naked choke, but Amanda did well in defending it and eventually reversed the position. She got a hold of Raquel's back and secured a rear naked choke that put her to sleep. 5 months later, Amanda fought Sarah D'Alelio. Although Amanda looked good on the feet by connecting with punches and kicks, it was Sarah's grappling that made the difference, as she secured takedowns and threw ground and pound for most of the fight. Plus, Amanda got deducted a point for an illegal upkick. After 3 rounds, Sarah won by unanimous decision. Despite this defeat, Amanda went on to sign with the UFC. So she made her debut at UFC 163 against Sheila Gaff. And Amanda displayed her grappling in this fight by securing a takedown early. This led to ground and pound that forced referee Herb Dean to step in. 3 months later, Amanda fought Germaine de Randamie. Once again, Amanda displayed her ground skills by securing an early takedown. This led to ground and pound that forced Herb Dean to step in. At UFC 178, she fought Kat Zingano. Amanda brought the fight down immediately and connected with some big shots from above, but Kat was staying busy off her back with submission attempts. Then Amanda attempted to lock up a leg, but ended up getting reversed. Kat spent time on top before both women got back up, but Amanda was visibly tired after trying to finish the fight, so Kat became the aggressor both on the feet and on the ground. And eventually, she finished Amanda in the final round with ground and pound. After going 9-4, Amanda fought Shayna Baszler. Amanda was dominant as she outstruck Shayna for most of the fight, and eventually she dropped her with a leg kick that forced referee Mario Yamasaki to step in. 4.5 months later, she fought Olympic silver medalist in wrestling, Sarah McMahon. Amanda looked good on the feet and also denied the takedown attempts. Eventually, Sarah got dropped by punches and ate ground and pound before tapping to the rear naked choke. At UFC 196, Amanda fought Valentina Shevchenko. The two opened up by trading on the feet, and for the most part, it was pretty even. Amanda was finding success with her kicks while Valentina was landing some nice punches. But when it came to grappling, it was mostly Amanda who secured takedowns, threw ground and pound, and attempted submissions, which had her winning the fight but also made her tired. And it was clear in the final round that Valentina was looking for the finish. But Amanda survived and ended up winning the fight by unanimous decision. This 3-fight win streak led to a shot at the title against bantamweight champion Miesha Tate. And this was a fight that got bumped up to the main event, headlining UFC 200, which was a huge card just based on the number. So the stakes were extra high for this one. But Amanda showed up big time by denying the takedown attempts and connecting with big shots on the feet. This forced a desperation takedown from Miesha. Amanda stuffed it and got a hold of her back, which led to a rear naked choke, making her the new UFC bantamweight bantamweight champion. Her first title defense was at UFC 207. Her opponent was former UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey. Amanda was heavily overlooked in this fight, and a lot of that had to do with this bout being Ronda's return since losing the belt. So all the promotion was going towards her and not Amanda. But Ronda had an unsuccessful return as Amanda denied her takedown attempts and picked her apart on the feet. It quickly became a beatdown, and this forced Herb Dean to step in. The fight lasted 48 seconds. Amanda's second title defense went down at UFC 215. Her opponent was Valentina Shevchenko, making it their second meeting. And much like their first fight, this one was also competitive. Amanda was pressing forward and connecting with punches and kicks, but when the two went toe-to-toe, it was Valentina winning the exchanges. And even though she was moving back, she was very effective with her counters. Each round was very hard to judge in my opinion, except for the final round, which saw Amanda end the fight strong with a takedown and top control. And it may have been just enough to help her win by split decision, a result that was seen as controversial as many believed Valentina won. Following this win, Amanda fought Raquel Pennington. It was a solid performance from Amanda, who was the aggressor on the feet and on the ground. Raquel had her moments, but in general, her offense was no threat. In the final round, Amanda brought the fight down and threw ground and pound before referee Mark Goddard stepped in. At UFC 232, Amanda moved back up to 145 to fight for the UFC Featherweight Championship. Her opponent was champion Cris Cyborg, and this fight was huge as both women were seen as the best female fighters in MMA history. So the winner was going to get bragging rights as the greatest. And right from the start, both women began to trade heavy shots. Cyborg was very aggressive and was pressing forward, but she left herself exposed, and this led to a right hand from Amanda that rocked her. From there, Cyborg was in survival mode, and although she was still conscious, Amanda was picking her apart. This led to a big right hand that knocked Cyborg out. The fight lasted 51 seconds. Honestly, this performance by Amanda puts me on the verge of tears due to how beautiful it was. And now with the featherweight title, she became the first female double champ in the UFC. After this win, she went back down to 135 to defend her belt against former UFC bantamweight champion Holly Holm. The two opened up the fight by feeling each other out on the feet. And near the end of round 1, Amanda landed a head kick. Holly went down and ate ground and pound before Mark Goddard stepped in. At UFC 245, Amanda stayed at bantamweight to defend her belt for a 5th time. Her opponent was former UFC featherweight champion Germaine de Randamie, making it their second meeting. Although Amanda connected on the feet, it was her grappling that shined as she secured multiple takedowns and threw hard shots from above. After 5 rounds, she won by unanimous decision, giving Amanda the most wins in women's title fights in the UFC. 6 months later, she went back up to 145 to defend her belt. Her opponent was former Invicta featherweight champion Felicia Spencer. And once again, Amanda looked dominant as she controlled the action both on the feet and on the ground. Credit to Felicia for taking all this damage and surviving for 5 rounds. But it was definitely a beatdown. And by the end, Amanda won by unanimous decision. This was her most recent fight, and with her next title defense being against Megan Anderson at UFC 259, many people predict that the narrative of this fight will be a one-sided affair in Amanda's favor. Because at this point in her career, there is no doubt by anyone that she is the greatest female fighter in MMA history. And with Amanda beating every former bantamweight and featherweight champ, her options for fights are quickly dwindling down. She honestly may just have to retire because there would be no one else for her to fight. So after starting her career with a 9-4 record, to winning 11 fights in a row and becoming the greatest in women's MMA, how did Amanda Nunes get so good? Her skills as a fighter have improved so much. When she began her career, she took the Vanderlei Silva approach by rushing in with punches. And with her speed and strength, that game plan was good at the time. Plus, she was able to take a hit and overall avoid her opponent's offense on the feet. But she did have problems when it came to grappling. All her losses occurred when her opponent was controlling her on the ground. And most of the time when she got taken down, it was when she was getting tired. Because Amanda would usually start off strong but fade out in the later rounds. And after suffering another loss in the same manner, she decided to make a change. So in 2014, she began training full-time in Coconut Creek, Florida at MMA Gym American Top Team, a gym that's home to many champions. And ever since she joined them, her career skyrocketed. At ATT, she improved her ground game big time, as not only is her defense solid now, but so is her offense, as she can secure takedowns and either finish with a submission or vicious ground and pound. And her striking has also changed for the better. Although she still rushes in like the axe murderer, it's more calculated now. She mixes up her punches, kicks and knees very well, and her overall pressure on the feet is very intimidating. I mean, for her to make Cyborg crumble in the way that she did is so impressive. And with this tactical approach on the feet, she's able to last for 5 rounds. In comparison to before, when she'd slow down by round 2 as she'd go all out in the first. And with her improved takedown defense, it's also difficult to tire her out on the ground now as well. At this moment in time, she is an all-around fighter. And this has led to a historic run in where she became the first female double champion in the UFC. Usually this is an accomplishment that you would expect from someone with a loss or two, not someone who started with a 9-4 record. But Amanda proved that sometimes change is needed. She always had the talent, but her new environment at ATT is what brought it to another level. Plus, she also credits her relationship with her wife, Nina Ansaroff, as a reason for her UFC success. And with the two recently having a child, I can only imagine that this adds even even more motivation for Amanda. I also want to bring up how strong her mindset is as a fighter. She hasn't only been in some of the biggest fights in women's MMA history, but she was also the underdog in a lot of them. Yet Amanda showed up and silenced many who ever doubted. And even when she was the favorite, she won those fights in dominant fashion. The last fighter I remember to be as dominant as this was a prime Anderson Silva. That feeling of whoever they fight next, you knew they would win. She established herself as the greatest of all time in women's MMA. And in my opinion, she should be in the top 5 for overall pound for pound best. Her resume is unbelievable at this moment, and it seems like it's still continuing to grow, which will make it difficult for any female fighter to top. And although she is regarded as the lioness, there is no doubt that Amanda Nunes is also the GOAT. My name is Kiiyon, and this is my take on Amanda the Lioness Nunes. Do you agree, disagree, or have something else to add? Please put in the comments down below, because I love to read it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. But that's all I have for now, so I'll see you on my next one.